When a customer says, "This is too expensive," they're not talking about money, they're talking about uncertainty. If price were the real issue, poor people would never buy expensive things. But they do, every day. Phones, shoes, cars, subscriptions. The same person who tells you your offer is too expensive will spend more money later that week on something that feels safe to them. So let's be clear from the start, money is not the constraint. Confidence is. Price is just the excuse the brain uses when it doesn't feel safe moving forward. It's socially acceptable. It sounds logical. It protects the ego. Saying too expensive feels smarter than saying I'm scared this won't work. And that's the first mistake most sellers make. They hear too expensive and assume the customer is price sensitive. They're not. They're risk sensitive. Huge difference. Here's the rule. People don't buy when things are cheap. People buy when things feel certain. If your offer feels uncertain, any price is expensive. If your offer feels inevitable, price becomes irrelevant. Think about how people actually evaluate price. They're not asking, can I afford this? They're asking, what happens if this doesn't work? The pain of loss is psychologically stronger than the pleasure of gain. So the brain defaults to protection. No decision feels safer than the wrong decision. That's why lowering your price almost never fixes the problem. All it does is make your offer look weaker. When you discount, the customer doesn't think, oh good, now it's affordable. They think, so the price was fake to begin with. Trust drops. Resistance goes up. Cheap offers don't remove fear. They confirm it. Another uncomfortable truth, customers are always comparing your offer to the pain of staying the same. If staying the same feels tolerable, your offer feels expensive. If staying the same feels unbearable, your offer feels cheap. Even at a high price, price is always relative. Always. This is why timing matters so much. An offer rejected today can be accepted instantly 6 months later at the same price. Nothing changed except the pain level. When pain increases, price resistance decreases. Most people don't understand this, so they try to sell harder. They add urgency. They add bonuses. They add pressure. All of that screams insecurity, and insecurity kills sales. Here's another thing no one likes to admit. People don't want to feel stupid. Buying something and failing hurts twice. You lose money and you lose self-respect. So the brain avoids situations where failure is visible. Saying too expensive gives the customer a clean exit without confronting that fear. This is why arguing price is pointless. You're fighting the symptom, not the disease. Price objections mean one thing. Something in the value equation is broken. Either the outcome isn't clear, the path isn't believable, or the messenger isn't trusted. That's it. There are no other reasons. Elite sellers don't flinch at price objections because they know this. They don't rush to defend the number. They slow the conversation down. They get curious because price objections are information, not rejection. Here's the mindset shift you need to internalize if you want to sell at a high level. Your job is not to make things cheaper. Your job is to make things clearer. Clarity creates certainty. Certainty eliminates objections. And when objections disappear, price stops being the villain. In the next section, I'll break down the 3 real meanings behind too expensive and how to instantly recognize which one you're dealing with. When someone says it's too expensive, they are never giving you the real reason. They're giving you the cleanest excuse. The human brain hates confrontation and hates admitting uncertainty. So instead of saying what's actually going on, it reaches for a safe phrase that ends the conversation without creating tension. Too expensive does exactly that. There are only 3 meanings behind it, not 10, not 20, 3. Every price objection you will ever hear fits into one of these buckets. If you don't know which one you're dealing with, you'll say the wrong thing, and the wrong thing kills the sale faster than silence. Meaning first, I don't believe this will work. This is the most common one. The customer isn't saying your offer's overpriced. They're saying the result feels uncertain. They're thinking, what if I spend this money and nothing changes? That thought alone makes the price feel dangerous. Understand this, people don't fear spending money. They fear wasting it, and wasted money hurts more than earned money feels good. That's loss aversion. It's hardwired. So when your promise sounds vague, the brain fills the gap with risk. And risk makes prices feel high. This is why generic claims fail. Grow your business, increase sales, improve your life. These phrases mean nothing to the brain. They don't reduce uncertainty, they increase it. When the outcome isn't clearly defined, the customer assumes the worst. Here's the mistake most people make. They respond by explaining features. Features don't reduce fear. Features increase cognitive load. What reduces fear is specificity, clear outcomes, clear timelines, clear mechanisms. If the customer doesn't know exactly what success looks like, the safest move is to do nothing. And doing nothing costs $0. So your offer automatically feels expensive by comparison, meaning second, I don't believe this will work for me. This one is more emotional and more dangerous. The customer might believe your offer works. They might even believe it works for other people. They just don't believe it works for them. This happens when someone has failed before, repeatedly. Failure trains the brain to protect itself. So instead of risking disappointment again, the brain chooses avoidance. They won't say, I don't trust myself. They'll say, it's too expensive. Because price feels external, self-doubt feels personal. This is identity-based resistance. The customer doesn't want to invest and then confirm their worst belief that they're the common denominator, so they opt out before the test even begins. This is why social proof matters, but not generic success stories. If the customer can't see themselves in the example, it doesn't work. Showing results from people who are already successful actually increases resistance. It creates distance instead of belief. What works here is relatable proof, same starting point, same struggle, same doubts. When the customer thinks that person was like me, belief transfers, and once belief transfers, price loses power. Meaning third, I don't trust you enough. This one hurts the ego, but it's critical. If trust is missing, price becomes a shield. The customer is thinking, I don't know if this person can actually deliver. And when trust is weak, every dollar feels like a gamble. Trust is not built by talking more. It's built by consistency. If your message feels exaggerated, rushed, or unclear, trust drops. If your offer sounds too good to be true, the brain assumes it probably is. This is why some people can charge 10 times more for the same thing. It's not skill, it's perceived certainty. When customers trust the source, they stop negotiating the price. Here's the key insight most people miss. Customers rarely know which of these three is stopping them. They just feel resistance. So the brain grabs the easiest explanation, price. That's why asking, is it the price, is useless. Of course they'll say yes. The real signal is when the objection appears, early objection, trust issue after results are explained, outcome belief after commitment is asked, self-belief, timing reveals truth. And here's the rule that changes everything. If even one of these is unresolved, no price is low enough, you could cut the price in half and still lose the sale. Because the real cost they're afraid of isn't money, it's regret. In the next section, I'll show you exactly how to respond to too expensive without defending your price, discounting, or sounding salesy, and how to turn the objection into leverage. How to kill the price objection without discounting the moment a customer says that's too expensive. Most people lose control, not externally, but internally. Their heart rate spikes, their voice changes, they start selling harder, and the sale dies right there because the fastest way to lose authority is to react emotionally to an objection. Here's the rule. Whoever stays calm controls the conversation. Price objections are not emergencies, they're signals. And if you treat a signal like a threat, you give up leverage immediately. The first thing you must do is not respond to the price itself. If you defend the number, you've already lost. Defending price tells the customer, you believe price is the problem. It also tells them your confidence is fragile. Instead, you slow the interaction down. You acknowledge without agreeing. I get that. That's fair. I hear you. This doesn't validate the objection. It disarms it. Humans relax when they feel heard. And relaxed people think. Thinking is what you want. Emotional people don't buy. Next, you shift the conversation from price to meaning. You do that by asking a question that forces the customer to articulate what's actually bothering them, not a why question. Why triggers defense. Use neutral questions compared to what part feels expensive, the investment or the risk. What would need to happen for this to feel worth it? These questions do something important. They move the customer from emotion to logic. When people explain their objection out loud, they often hear how weak it sounds, and once it's exposed, it loses power. Now comes the critical part, reframing. You are not here to convince, you are here to change context. Most customers are comparing your price to the money in their NK account. That's the worst possible comparison. Money sitting in an account feels safe. Spending it feels risky. You must change the comparison. You reframe price against the cost of inaction. Not emotionally, not dramatically, calmly, factually. What is staying the same already costing them? Time, lost revenue, stress, missed opportunities. When the brain realizes doing nothing has a cost, your offer stops looking expensive and starts looking like a trade. Another powerful reframe is positioning the price as a filter. You explain without ego that the commitment itself is part of why it works. People protect what they pay for. Free information is ignored. Paid solutions get implemented. Now the price is no longer a barrier, it's a mechanism. Silence is your next weapon. After reframing, you stop talking. Most people talk themselves out of the sale because they're uncomfortable with silence. Silence creates pressure, but on the customer, not you. And the next thing they say usually reveals the real objection. If they hesitate, you use conditional alignment. If I didn't believe this could realistically solve the problem we discussed, I'd agree. It would be expensive. This statement does two things. It aligns you with them and it reasserts your conviction. You're not pushing, you're guiding. Guides feel safe. Salespeople feel dangerous. Notice what you're not doing. You're not discounting. You're not adding urgency. You're not throwing bonuses. Discounts signal weakness. Urgency without belief creates resistance. Bonuses distract from the core value. Instead, you increase clarity. You revisit the outcome. You revisit the process. You revisit support and expectations. Clarity reduces anxiety. Anxiety is what makes prices feel high. Another advanced move is future pacing without hype. You walk them through the next steps in a grounded way, not fantasy, progress, momentum. When the future feels structured, the present decision feels safer. And here's the part most people get wrong. You must be willing to let them walk away. Desperation repels. Detachment attracts. When the customer senses you're fine either way, pressure disappears. And paradoxically, people are more likely to say yes when they don't feel pushed. By the end of this process, one of two things happens. Either they move forward with conviction or they reveal a real constraint. Both outcomes are wins. You don't want hesitant buyers, you want committed ones. In the final section, I'll show you how to design your offer so price objections rarely appear in the first place and how to build price resistance before the conversation even begins. Build offers where price stops being a problem. The highest level of selling is not handling objections. It's designing an offer where objections don't show up in the first place. If you constantly hear too expensive, don't blame the market. Don't blame the customer. Look at the offer. Price objections are feedback. They're telling you something is unclear, misaligned, or weak. Strong offers don't get compared. Weak ones do. The first lever is specific pain. General offers attract general buyers. General buyers compare prices. Specific offers attract specific buyers. Specific buyers don't compare. They self-select. If your offer sounds like it could help anyone, it convinces no one. But when someone feels like you're talking directly to their problem, price becomes secondary. People don't price shop when they feel understood. They lean in. Next is outcome clarity. If the customer can't clearly picture what life looks like after your offer, uncertainty fills the gap, and uncertainty inflates price. You don't need to promise miracles. You need to define success. What changes? What improves? What stays the same? When the result is clear, the brain relaxes, and relaxed brains buy. Then comes process transparency. People trust what they understand. If the path from where they are to where they want to be feels mysterious, price feels risky. But when you clearly explain the steps without overwhelming, the offer feels controlled. Transparency signals competence. Competence justifies price. The next layer is risk reassignment. Every purchase has risk. The question is who carries it? If all the risk sits on the customer, your offer feels expensive. When you absorb part of the risk through guarantees, clear boundaries, onboarding, or expectations, price resistance drops. This isn't about being generous, it's about being smart. Reducing perceived risk increases perceived value without changing the price. Another underrated lever is exclusion. Offers that try to be for everyone feel cheap. Offers that clearly say this is not for you feel premium. Exclusion creates trust. Trust kills objections. People don't want the cheapest option, they want the right option. Exclusion helps them decide faster. Your pricing itself sends a signal. Random prices feel transactional. Intentional pricing feels deliberate. More importantly, price must match the seriousness of the problem you solve. Cheap solutions for serious problems create doubt. Expensive solutions for trivial problems create resistance. Congruence matters. Then there's delivery. Calm, direct, grounded. When you speak like someone who doesn't need to convince, people assume competence. Authority is felt, not claimed. And authority neutralizes price objections faster than any tactic. Here's the principle that ties everything together. People don't say too expensive when they are certain. Certainty eliminates objections. Your job isn't to persuade. It's to clarify. Not to push, but to position. Not to lower price, but to raise belief. When belief is high, price is just a number. Customers stop asking, is this worth it? They start asking, How soon can I start? And that's when selling stops feeling like selling. It starts feeling like leadership.